Alright guys, welcome back to the sort of podcasty show that we do. Last episode we did previewing the AFC conference. Today we're going to be previewing the NFC conference. In my opinion, before we get to this video, the AFC has a little bit more of a brighter future. Some of the NFC's teams are a little bit older, a little bit built to win right now instead of, like, let's say 5 years, and like just a good, consistent, like a great young team that's built to win for 5 years in a row, like down the road. Not down the road like 5 years from now. I mean, like 5 years they're just consistently good. You get what I'm trying to say. So let's start with the NFC East. Now the NFC East had a really good year. They had three really competitive football teams in this division. Three of them, even Philly, which I would count as the worst out of the teams, had a pretty good offense. So they all have talented. Some Eagles less in terms of receiver core, but let's start with the Dallas Cowboys. Now I don't want to spend a lot of time on this team because this team is talked about way too much. It's actually talked about way too much. Basically, is what I'm trying to say. Way too much. But obviously everybody knows by now, if you're an NFL fan, Dak Prescott won the most games out of any rookie ever. Ezekiel Elliott, the same thing. And just that offensive line alone with Travis Frederick, Zach Martin, Tyron Smith, and then you got the backfield with Zeke, and the receiver core with Cole Beasley, Dez Bryant, Terrence Williams. It's going to be a really good team for a long time. Their defense is where it lacks big time. They drafted young talent like Randy Gregory, who was going to be a first-round guy until, obviously, he has drug issues. I think that's what it is, if I'm not mistaken. Or it's true, he has alcohol problems. I don't know what his situation is exactly. But they have pass rushers. They tried to get Greg Hardy. They obviously have a great defensive coordinator down there, who did a fantastic job with the cards that he was dealt with. They also went through a lot of injuries last year, in fairness to them, which is actually pretty impressive considering the record they had. The ball control of that offense really carried the team. Didn't expose the defense a lot. It kept them in games. It won them games. They dominated games because of it, because they're probably one of the better offenses I think I've ever seen that just controlled the game like they did in the regular season. And that defense was really weak. The defensive line is not very talented. The linebacker, the best player on that defense is probably Sean Lee. It is Sean Lee. They have good players like Barry Church, Morris Claiborne. While he had an unhealthy season, he had a pretty good season considering his past. Maybe a lot of people thought he was a bust. Coming out of LSU, he looked like a lockdown corner. And I remember looking at him before the draft. I thought he was pretty good. I didn't think he was going to be as bad as he was. So they have a lot of things you have to figure out on the defensive side of the football. But once they get that figured out, because if you look at the defense, Byron Jones is probably the best young talent on that football team, the defensive side. They have J.J. Wilcox, who's basically just a tone-setting kind of safety. He's not very I don't know. They have Orlando Scandrick, who can't stay healthy. Same thing with Brandon Carr. He's getting up there in age, and he can't stay healthy. They really need to get that defense in order. They really, really, really need to get that in order because their offense is really good. And the thing about it is they're not going to win. I don't think they can win a Super Bowl with the team that they have now just because of their defense. But if they get a defense, how long it's going to take Jerry Jones to figure that out? Probably not long. They have cornerstones like that. They have Sean Lee. They have Byron Jones. So they have those cornerstones that you need on defense. They just need to fill it out. Jerry Jones, he messes a lot of things up. Who knows if he's not going to mess this thing up? I don't know. A lot of people, if you guys remember, a lot of people are on him about, why are you drafting Zach Martin in the first round? Well, that's why you crap and draft Zach Martin in the first round, because you get a dominating football team. And probably, if not, this probably will go down as probably the greatest offensive line ever assembled. Maybe not better than the Raiders, Art Shell, and I just totally forgot the other guy's name right now. 70s, by the way, my favorite era of football. I can't believe I can't. I'll think of them here in a second. But obviously you had the Miami Dolphins offensive line with Larry Little, and just there's a lot of great. I take back my statement. Basically, they could go down as one of the better offensive lines in NFL history. You obviously have the Hogs. I think they could definitely be better than that offensive line of the Redskins. But anyway, moving on to the New York Giants. This is an interesting football team for a lot of different reasons. That locker room, a lot of I don't know if Ben McAdoo got a lot of praise. He was a lot more ballsy than Tom Coughlin. He was a lot more new age kind of offense, new age kind of coach. I would say this, not new age kind of offense, because they still had a 90, like, I don't know, what is it, like they line up the shotgun 95% of the time or something crazy like that. Maybe it's a little less than that, but they line up at the shotgun like it's crazy. So I'm not going to say that that's what he brought to the football team, but he brought to the football team, I think, a little bit more of not an arrogance, but like like we're gonna go for this. You know what I mean? So a little bit more ballsy, I guess, a little more gambling than Tom Coughlin was. But other than that, I mean, it really didn't seem like he took control of the locker room. I don't know how he doesn't bring up hey guys, we're about to play a playoff game in Lambeau. Maybe it's not a crapping good idea that you go to Miami and cause a media crapping stir, and that's what we're gonna have to hear for the like 2 weeks, or like a little bit less than 2 weeks. That's what we're gonna have to hear for. Yeah, thanks Odell, thanks Victor, thanks for doing that. I mean, that's kind of the stuff that should not be allowed. Should not. That's just shows me that football team's not very disciplined. Where's the leader? That's just like if I told you that was gonna happen, you would think I was stupid. It's just that just doesn't make any sense. Then you got Odell Beckham, who just cannot control his emotions, and I understand. I don't think that hurts. I mean, it hurts him. It hurts the football team because it takes him out of the football game. He literally stops running routes. He's not as effective at all. Like that's why a lot of people game plan for him is he's just getting his head, because he's not focused on the game. He's focused on hurting you. And yeah, so he's got to work on his personality for sure. Somebody has to. He's young, obviously, but that's usually not a good sign down the road. And does Odell make them worse? I think absolutely not. If you look at the game against the Ravens, which is a perfect example of this, he won them that football game. And was it a 4th and 1? He took a slant all the way to the end zone. People who say, "Oh, well, if we would be better without Odell's personality," look at all the other receivers on that football team. They have Sterling Shepard, who is a beast, but is he a number one guy? Can he carry an offense? Can Victor Cruz carry an offense? I don't think so. Can crappin' Paul Perkins carry an offense? Can Rashard Jennings carry an offense? Absolutely not. Odell Beckham is a very big part of them making the playoffs, so that doesn't make any sense to me. I think that's a bunch of nonsense, and doesn't make any sense to me. And their defense, obviously, their defense, that is the most drastic crapping improvement I think I have seen. And they did it, and like you hear about all this, got to build it through the draft. You can't go out here and get all these free agents. They said, the Giants did it, and it worked. They got Janoris Jenkins. They got Olivier Vernon. They got Kelvin Shepard, who was more of a backup role kind of guy, but he was a special teams guy. I'm sure for they just went out. They got pieces. They retained J.C. Pierre-Paul, which is obviously the guy that they drafted. So I guess that's not. They got who else did they get? Trying to think. I mean, Dominic Rodgers-Cromartie was a lot longer before. It was before that. So they got. I think I'm missing somebody. I just can't remember right now. But they did it, and it worked. And they have a very good defense for a lot of years to come, with Eli Apple, DRC, Janoris Jenkins. Eli Apple, a lot of people didn't. Oh, that was the reach kid out of Ohio State. That obviously did not. That wasn't true. So they have a really good defense. Depending on if they keep J.C. Pierre-Paul, which is not going to happen, he's not going to be a New York Giant. Even then, they have that kid out of Notre Dame who looked pretty good. I can't remember his name right now. So I think the Giants have they have just as bright as, the only position, because Dak is so young, he'll outlast Eli, so they have a brighter future. I think that's obviously Zeke. But they have a probably more all-arounded team. If they can figure out consistency on offense, because that offense just disappeared. And I think a lot of that had to do with the media talking about it. Don't think that football team handled it well at all. And yeah, I think that had a lot to do with it. I think it was kind of trying to press. How do we get this rhythm? And you can't do that. You can't manufacture rhythm on offense. It has to come to you. The identity of your offense comes to you. How you play, basically the same thing as an identity. I don't know why I just said those both at the same time. But that comes to you. That's not something that you just fabricate. So I think that kind of affected them in some way because they have talent, man. They have Sterling Shepard, dude. What a rookie class that we had in 2016, because that is one heck of a rookie class. I didn't think the receiving class was going to be as good as it is. We did have, like, Tyler Boyd wasn't as good as I think people thought he was going to be. Definitely Laquan Treadwell. That's probably is going to go down as one of the worst busts. How can you... They're like, oh, he's big. He's not fast at all. At all. Like, I don't know what... That was a weird pick. And, that was probably the only two disappointing. I'm sure there's others. I can't think of them right now. But, yeah, the receiving class surprised me with Michael Thomas, obviously Sterling Shepard. That really surprised me. Eli Rogers, that was crapping amazing. Like, that really, really surprised me. So, the receiving class, a lot of shout-outs to those guys. But anyway, getting off track. Going on to the Washington Redskins, the Giants, like I said, they have a bright future ahead of them. As long as they can figure out who's the dude leading that team, who's the dude who says that's not a good idea to go to Miami. Almost we're only a couple, I can't remember how. I'm so confused right now. Like in a week and a half away from the playoff game. You know what I mean? So yeah, it doesn't make any sense. I don't know. They have to figure that out. If they figure that out, they've got a chance. The Washington Redskins. This is a very interesting team for a lot of different reasons. They have first of all, Deshaun Jackson's a free agent. If I'm not mistaken, Pierre Garçon's a free agent. I don't know if they're restricted free agents or they're free agents. I'm pretty sure they're both free agents. You can correct me down. I'm not 100% sure on that, if you can correct me. But those are two people they're going to have to retain. Now, the difference between a restricted free agent and a free agent that's a very big difference. So, anybody, if you guys know that, let me know in the comment section below. But that is a very big key to their offense. They have to keep. They did draft people like Josh Doxson. I can't remember how to say his name. Another guy who's not disappointing. I think he had a relatively decent year. They obviously have Crowder, who's one of the funnest players to watch in the open field. Like, he is so fun to watch play. They have old Rob Kelly back there, who came onto the scene. Pretty good for them. They have a very, very good offensive line with Trent Williams and those boys. Excuse me. Their defense is really bad. I think they need to upgrade that secondary big time. They have Josh Norman. That's about it. They have, excuse me. They have really good young players like Ryan Kerrigan, who's not as young as he used to. I mean, he's getting up there. They need to figure out that defense. How they do that, I don't know. I really don't know. They really need to figure that out. Their offense is where it's at, for sure. They had one of the more prolific offenses. Just to kind of give you guys a stat about that, it's actually pretty surprising. The Washington Redskins, I think in total touchdowns. Oh man, I forgot the stat. I can't remember the stat was, but they had a lot of touchdowns. It was like I think it was top 10 or even higher than that. I think it was not top 10 because that's not very impressive. It was as impressive as I'm making it out to be. But I think it was somewhere top 5 or just out of it or shade out of it. So they have a prolific offense. A lot of people give Kirk Cousins trash for no reason. Kirk Cousins, very good quarterback. A lot of people say, oh, when the fourth quarter drives come out, he folds. You saw that against Arizona. Didn't handle the pressure well. He didn't handle the blitz very well. There may be something to that. I might give you that on film. That I think that kind of shows up a little bit. But he is such a good quarterback. I think he's a very accurate passer. Very, very good deep thrower. He moves in the pocket well. He's smart. He's a good leader. I really don't understand why you wouldn't want to keep somebody like that on your football team. And he's definitely better than Alex Smith. I can tell you that right now. Some people consider him obviously a game manager, but they consider him a franchise quarterback. And to be honest with you, I could put Kirk Cousins up against anybody. Seriously, I think you can compare, career numbers with just about anybody. Obviously, he came out of Michigan State, was back up to RG3. He has I don't understand it. Maybe there's something I'm missing. Maybe he is. I don't think he folds under pressure. I mean, there is something to it. I do give you that because there is proof of this. There's obviously tape. But I think people should just calm down on Kirk a little bit, just a little bit. I think he's way underrated. And if they let him go, watch out to wherever he goes, because that's a perfect scenario for him to go to Denver. Maybe if Carson retires, he goes to Arizona. The most unlikely thing if Big Ben retires, he goes to Houston. Maybe the Browns try to get him. He's a franchise quarterback, so the franchise quarterbacks are probably the rarest talent in the sports world. It really is rare, and to give one up that's that good and that young is stupid. And they really that would be the dumbest move the Redskins could possibly do. They just need to figure out that defense. They need to figure out that defense. They have Chris Baker. They have good pieces there. They have some young talent there that they just need to build upon. But they really need to make over that defense. That's my point. Their offense is fine. There's nothing wrong with that dang offense. They do not need to mess with that. So moving on to the last NFC East team is the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, the Philadelphia Eagles, everybody, I remember the hype surrounding this, and this reminded me of the Dolphins of 2013. When the Dolphins beat the Falcons, the Patriots, was that the first? No, it was the Browns, the Falcons, and the Colts. When they went 3-0 that year, I'm a diehard Dolphins fan. I remember feeling so high on myself, and then we played the Saints, and I got brought down to earth real quick, and I was like, oh, that's the Joe Philbin team. Same thing when I'm not comparing Doug Peterson to Joe Philbin at all. I'm not insulting the man like that. I like his offensive scheme. It's pretty cool. Obviously learned under Andy Reid, but it's really fun to watch. But they don't have a lot of receiving help at all. I talked about this in a previous video like a couple days ago or a day ago. That Darrell Green Beckham, who I think is, I think he's from the kid out of Missouri. I think he's so raw though. He's not a very good route runner. He's not very strong. He's very athletic. A lot of people compared him to Randy, and I'm talking like a Diet Coke Randy Moss. I'm not talking like this kid's gonna crap and blow. He's gonna have one of the greatest rookie seasons of all time. But he had the physical set. Like he had that, like, oh, this kid's gonna do something. But he was just so raw. He's going to be a project. It looks like the project is failing, to be honest with you. If he was gonna hit it, he's got to hit it this upcoming season. If he misses, then I think he's a bust. And he's not. I'm talking like, oh, this kid's one of the worst draft picks ever. But I'm just saying. I just don't think you can stick around and wait for him to get good. Now they have people like Nelson Aguilar, who is a straight bust, can't catch anything. They have Jordan Matthews. They have a crapping awesome tight end pairing there. They have an aging backfield, but it's still good. And it's from year to year, Darren Sproles keeps making me. It's like, oh yeah, he still got it. So they have that. And obviously, let's go to the big. Everybody loves to talk about Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz had a really good rookie season. He faced some really good defenses. He did rookie things. Rookies do rookie things, and he did do those things. But a lot of people thought, oh, he's raw. He's gonna have to sit for at least a year. Coming out of a prolific school like, let's say, Alabama or something like, crapping like Goff came out of Cal, somewhere like that. He did come out of a huge school. Thought he was going to be a project. Turns out everybody's stupid. He's a franchise guy. He's the future of the Philadelphia Eagles, and I'm so happy that Eagles fans have that, because it's cool to see them. It's like, you know what, you guys finally, after crapping Randall Cunningham, you thought he was the guy. I don't know, like, there's been some great Eagles quarterback like Randall Cunningham, like Jaworski. They've had people like that, but this guy I think is going to be like, let's say, like a Dan Marino type guy. Like, this guy is like, people point to him. This is a little early, and I don't want to sound like a crazy person. I hate when people call rookies, that guy's going to be a Hall of Famer one day. I'm not going to say that, but I'm saying I think he can be that kind of guy you point to and say, like, yeah, he is the like, people when they think the Miami Dolphins, they think Dan Marino. That's the quarterback of the Miami Dolphins. When I think of the Patriots, first thing that comes to my mind, that's Tom Brady, right? I think the Eagles, first thing that comes to mind when I think Philly, I think of Reggie White for some reason, just because I just do. I just don't think of any of their quarterbacks. So, yeah, so that's what I'm saying. I think he can be that guy. Their defense is really good. They have Brandon Graham. I think I'm saying his name wrong. They have Fletcher Cox, Benny Logan, who's underrated. They have a really good 4-3 defense there. They have Malcolm Jenkins. They really have some. Malcolm Jenkins is a little older, but they have some good talent there. Their defense is really good. They obviously have Eric Kendricks. I hope I don't get his name mixed up with his brother. Probably did. But he's a really underrated linebacker. They have so many pieces there. I'm forgetting the other good linebacker right now, but he's gonna be good. So they have a good 4-3 thing going down there. In Philly, that's a good thing about Philly is they got the defense figured out. They just got to get a receiver. They do that, then they're set. Obviously, the offensive line. One of the things that people don't realize is Philly was really hurt on the offensive line. But I think that team was so... I don't think Carson Wentz could have took that team to the playoffs. Just because I just don't think... It just wasn't going to happen. Even if they didn't lose their offensive line... I don't think obviously one of their best offensive line is to suspension. I still think they don't make it. I don't think that was a big enough push to get them in. They would have probably went 9-7 probably, but I don't think that was one of the bigger reasons why they missed it. So moving on to the Philly, they have a very bright future down there in Philly. They just got to get Carson some help, and it's not even. They don't need like two guys like Tannehill did his first year. That he needed like two guys, like he needed 2 or 3 guys, because Devon Bess and Brian Hartline are not. Brian may be a third guy, a third option. He obviously had back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons. I don't know if that was more Brian or Ryan. I really don't know, but yeah. So. It kind of reminds me of that situation where they don't need that many guys. They just need one guy. They have Jordan Matthews. They have that number 2 beast. They just need a guy who can take over a game, and Philly will be just fine. Okay, with that, dude, 20 minutes on one division. That's crazy. Yeah, I didn't mean to go that hardcore on you guys, but going to the NFC North, which is a historic division for so many great players have played in this division. The Green Bay Packers. Now, this is an interesting topic because the Packers really need to get depth. That's basically all I can say. They need to get depth. They need to retain some players in the offseason like Nick Perry. But they need depth. That's all they need. They keep getting hurt, can't sustain anything. And granted, the hurt that they got was a special kind of hurt because they were playing with people that I don't think anybody expected to play that season. I mean, when Sam Shields goes down and then you're on Demarius Randall, but then Demarius Randall goes down, and you're like, oh, God, like, what are we going to do? Then they have practice squad players against the Washington Redskins, and we all know how that went, but they have good young talent on this defense. Jake Ryan looks really good. They still have Clay Matthews, who I'm starting to kind of wonder where the heck Clay Matthews has been for a while, but he's still Clay Matthews. I guess he's like a 50% of what Clay Matthews used to be. Maybe he can get healthy for your season, and we can actually see the old Clay Matthews of old. Well, it sounded like he's been. I mean, I guess 2 seasons ago he was Clay Matthews, but I don't know what I'm trying to say. But in terms of the receiver core, I don't think. Do they have the number 1 guy? Do they have that? Has Aaron Rodgers ever played with a guy who can take over a game? And the question is yes. I think he has played with people like that. Like Greg Jennings in his prime, I think could take over a game. Donald Driver, obviously. So I think he's played with people like that before. Does he have it now? Is Devontae Adams that guy? Is Randall Cobb? Randall Cobb is definitely that guy. Jordy Nelson used to be that guy. Forgot about Jordy Nelson. Of course, he played with Jordy Nelson before. But Jordy Nelson, I think he came back or had over 1,000 yards. Obviously coming out of the tear. So yeah, they still have that guy, but is Jordy still that guy? I think he is. I think that offense, as long as they stay healthy, with Jared Cook, I think they signed to a 1-year deal. So I don't know if I'm right about that, but if they did, they have to sign him back. They obviously have Ty Montgomery, who's one of the better young players in the NFL, just burst onto the scene. Their defense just needs a little depth. They have Clinton Dix. They have really good young players on that defense. Just needs to stay healthy, man. They need to have depth. A lot of it too, man, because they can't keep getting into playoff situations where everybody's gone. They can't get into. It's a battle of nutrition. They can't do that again. They can't win a ring like that. Even they did it when they won with Charles Woodson, who was a big part of that. He broke his crapping forearm or something. I can't remember what he did in the Super Bowl. I can't remember what he broke exactly, but they had other injuries on that team. So they've done it before, but just not at that. You cannot win a ring like that at all. It's just I can't. They weren't as injured against the Cowboys, but man, that that Falcons game, they could have been more competitive if they have everybody else. But the Packers, they have to they have to just stay healthy. And if I had to say they had to add anything, it'd probably be somebody on defense. I think a force on defense would be nice. Depending where that is, I think Nick Perry he's really good. They have to retain Nick Perry. I really think they have young talent. They have young talent on defense. I think the best thing I could say about them, just stay healthy, man. Just stay healthy. And they have a bright future. Detroit Lions, this is the most interesting squad. Matthew Stafford continually loses offensive line. People like Chance Warmack's in free agency right now. So, yeah, hopefully he's not going to have to play behind an entirely new O-line, basically, this upcoming season. Who knows? But he just to take this in perspective, before the season started, everybody was like, what? All he did was throw to Calvin. All he did was throw to Calvin. What's he going to do without Calvin? Didn't think he was going to have a crazy year that Matthew Stafford always has. Well, guess what he did? He broke the record for fourth quarter game-winning drives, I think. Straight baller. I had him mid-season. He was my MVP. I thought, I've never seen anybody that season. I did not see somebody who won them football games. Who just straight won them football games. I want you to go back and if you're a fan of an NFL franchise, right, you got 45 seconds, you got 38 seconds on the clock, you're on your own 25, and you're like, we lost the game. When you have Matthew Stafford on your team, right, you think, we're going to get a field goal, we're going to win the game, or we're going to go into overtime. That's how good Matthew Stafford is. The defense is getting older. They have young talent like Darius Slay. Ziggy Ansah had a down year, he wasn't healthy. But they have Glover Quinn's getting up there in age. They're starting to age a little bit. They need a defensive lineman. I think they said they're going to pursue Jason Pierre-Paul. That would be a great signing for them. I think Ziggy is still Ziggy, though. I think he just needs to stay healthy. So they still have that pass rushing game record guy. Ziggy can still be that. It's just he's got to stay healthy. They have a bright future. It just depends. Obviously, Golden Tate down there, Marvin Jones. Can Theo stay healthy? Zettler coming in, he did a pretty decent job, but Theo and Amir Abdullah, that's a huge part of their attack, and it makes it even more prolific. I like Jim Caldwell too, by the way. Alright, go to the Minnesota Vikings. What a mess. Okay, first of all, have you guys ever seen, I have, but it's been a while since I've seen a team just break down, going from Everson Griffin, Anthony Barr, Harrison Smith, Xavier Rhodes, the list just goes on. Linval Joseph, the list goes on and on and on of how good that defense is, right? And how good they looked on that 5-game win streak, okay? And that offense didn't look bad at all. By the way, without Adrian Peterson, they go out, they're like, we lose Teddy, we got to replace Teddy. We're going to give up a crappin' first-round pick to get Teddy Bridgewater for Sam crappin' Bradford, right? And now that the season totally crap and bombed because their offensive line was so atrocious, obviously injured offensive line, it was so atrocious. Talk about trying to build to win now. They should have just ate the bullet. They should have just ate the bullet with Sean Hill and said, defense, let's at least go to 9-7, 8-8. Let's have that kind of season because we're not going to have a franchise guy, but our defense can win us games. That's what Houston did. They went to the playoffs 9-7. Granted, terrible division. Their defense won them games. The Vikings could have done that for a year, got Teddy back, and been fine. Now what are you going to do? You got Sam Bradford, Teddy Britt. Do you trade Sam, maybe? Who knows, man? I like Teddy. I know, Sam had the, what was it? I can't remember. He broke some record for, I don't know if it was completion percentage. Pretty sure it was completion percentage. Let's say it was that. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, yeah, because they're running 2-yard routes, and he's just throwing it to him. The guy didn't push the ball down the field at all. I think when he's averaged over 7 yards per attempt, only once or twice in his career. That's disgusting. So yeah, I think I like Teddy better. I know there were some questions. Is Teddy a franchise guy? Let me tell you something right now. I think he's better than he's better than Bradford in my opinion. But they have good players like Stephon Diggs. I just don't like Laquan Treadwell was not a good pick at all. They have Adrian Peterson who's ailing. They need to replace Adrian Peterson with somebody because Matt Asiata and Crappin. I can't remember his name right. McKinnon. I can't say his first name. I couldn't remember. I said that I couldn't remember. I just can't say it. That offensive line needs to be fixed. That team went from being a Super Bowl caliber football team to a terrible team in the matter of a month. I think a month, right? So a month. A little bit over a month, but yeah, a month. That's crazy. They as DJ Khaled would say, they played themselves. Okay, on to the who else got here? The Chicago Bears. The Bears are rumored to be going after Jimmy Garoppolo. Now, Jimmy Garoppolo, people say, oh, is he a system guy? Because most Patriots players are. Who knows? That's all I have to say about that. Chicago, obviously, I have Alshon Jeffrey, who's going to be a free agent, who apparently says that they can win the Super Bowl this upcoming Super Bowl 52. They think they can win it. That's the fun. Why don't you make the playoffs first, Alshon? Because that's difficult enough. Never mind going through. Let's say you got to win crap in 2 games. Let's say they get to the bye. You got to win 3 games in a row to crap and win against the best in the NFL to win a championship. Good luck with that, especially with that team. Their offense, they don't have a franchise guy. They have a franchise rusher, Jordan Howard, who's one of my favorite players to watch now. Again, the 2016 class is insane. I love Jordan Howard. He's one of my favorite players to watch on Sundays. I love him so much. If you just watch highlights, it's crazy, man. He's good in the pass game. He's good in the running game. It's like I'm watching Walter Payton again. I don't know. It's weird. Not that I watch Walter Payton. I'm not old enough for that, but I don't know. It's something about the Bears when you see old Walter Payton highlights. Then I get to see Jordan Howard. I'm like, that's the crapping Chicago Bears. I don't know. It just makes me feel good. I love Jordan Howard. But the Bears, they have him. Can they retain Alshon? They have Bellamy. They have some good players down there. They have Cody Whitehair, who's an absolute steal in the draft at center. Defensively, they need some help. Kyle Fuller there, man. I didn't watch a lot of Bears games, so you guys, I'm just gonna say that now. I'm not the most educated on Kyle Fuller, but did he have a down year? Seemed to me like he had a down year. You guys could tell me if you're a Bears fan. But it seemed like he kind of dropped off the face of the earth. Obviously, Tracy Porter's getting up there in age. They're gonna have to replace him. They did sign obviously Floyd out of Georgia, who one of my dude. Floyd is a goon, dude. Floyd's going to be he's going to terrorize the NFC North for years to come. Okay? Danny Trevathan, they got, obviously, they've got some really good young pieces up there. They just need a franchise quarterback. They have a really good defensive coach in John Fox. I trust him with that defense. He's going to get them in shape. They have Amos, who's also a good young player. They just need a franchise on defense, safety. They just need a franchise quarterback. Jay Cutler, if you crap and tell me in the comment section below that Jay Cutler is a franchise quarterback, if I hear Heath Evans say ever again, now Heath Evans, love him. He's a big Tannehill supporter, big Dolphins guy. I think he said that we would make the playoffs, which not a lot of people did nationally before the season started, and he was on the NFL Network, so that's a crapping medal in its own. He loves Adam Gase, thinks he's one of the best coaches. You get the gist. But to say, I know Jay Cutler has all the physical skills. He's just not a franchise quarterback. He's not a good leader. Adam Gase made him a franchise quarterback, leaves, and he's not a franchise quarterback anymore. That just goes to show you the impact of Adam Gase. All right, on to the NFC South. Now, I watched a lot of NFC South. I watch every single year. I watch a lot of NFC South. One of the biggest reasons my brother is a Panthers fan. We watch football games on Sundays together. So usually our teams play at different times. Usually, and when they do, I will go over there and I'll watch the games with him, or his game, or he'll come over, here and watch games with me. So, yeah, I watched a lot of NFC South games. Every team in this division is it's like a shotgun. It's just their offenses are just amazing. Okay, the Atlanta Falcons in the Super Bowl, say no more. One of the most prolific offenses in NFL history. Straight goons. Devontae Freeman, Telvin Coleman, Austin Hooper, who doesn't get talked about enough. Austin Hooper's a great player. He's not a great player, but he's gonna be a great player. Had a lot of great plays in the season. Alex Mack, Jake Matthews, Mohamed Sanu, Tyler Gabriel, Julio Jones. The list goes on and on and on. They're just beasts. Their defense: Deion Jones, Vic Beasley, Keanu Neal, Ricardo Allen. I don't think I'm saying his name right. Poole, Desmond Trufant when he's healthy. They have a lot of pieces there. Bright future for the Atlanta Falcons. And you know what I'm going to say about the Falcons here now? If they don't win the Super Bowl, they will not be as good as they could have been. If they win the Super Bowl, it's a dynasty question mark, because if they don't, I think their young team, maybe they think, oh, hopefully they have, if they, let's say they lose, hopefully they have the mentality to say, we're young, we can get back, kind of like the Dolphins did in 71 to 72. They're like, we're young, we can get back. We're not gonna feel bad about it. We were here, we were against Tom Landry and the Dallas Cowboys. Basically, the Falcons we were against Bill Belichick and Tom Brady. The Dolphins were against Roger Staubach. We were against them. We lost to them. We think we're better than them. We're gonna come back, and we're gonna be one of the greatest teams of all time. Can the Falcons do that if they lose? I don't think so. But if they win, I think they could win another ring down the road. But if they don't, I think that just totally just destroys. It deflates them. I just don't think they'd be the same team. I don't know. Who knows? Who knows what kind of personality that. I'm not in that locker room. All right, on to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm not a big Jameis Winston fan. I don't like watching him. I've watched a lot of his games. I just don't. He turns the ball over, and he seems a little inaccurate. He's so inconsistent with accuracy. And one of the biggest things, he's like, oh, he's a good downfield pass. Is he really? Is he really? Because it seems to me he's a little inconsistent. He's very good at throwing on the run. He's very mobile. He's a playmaker. I'm not going to take that away from him. I'm just not a Winston fan. I don't like watching him mostly. Can he be a franchise guy? Absolutely. I think he can. I think he's young. He's extremely young. I don't think he's that level yet. I think he's a franchise guy in terms of wait and see kind of guy. Is he established himself as a franchise guy? Don't think so. I don't think he has. But Mike Evans, that offense is explosive. Humphreys, the offense is really good. Their defense is even better. Lavonte David, Quan Alexander, Gerald McCoy, Noah Spence, Vernon Hargreaves, who's going to be really good. Brent Grimes, that defense is really, really good, man. It's going to be really good for a long time to coming. The offense is the big question mark for me. Can Jameis Winston not turn the ball over as much? Can he mature as a quarterback? Because if he can, then that team is going to go places. On to the New Orleans Saints. They don't have a lot of time. I like Drew Brees. I want to play till I'm 45. It just doesn't happen. Father of Time is undefeated. I don't care. We saw that with Peyton Manning. Now, he's a little special case because of, obviously, the neck injury. I think that affected his longevity. But when we look at Drew Brees, he doesn't have the same arm as he used to have. That's pretty crappin' obvious. He has everything else, obviously. He just doesn't have the same arm. He's getting up there in age. I think he's going to realize, do I really want to go through another offseason? Their offense is so prolific. Obviously, having almost three receivers over 1,000 yards. Mark Ingram he's a good running back. He's not a franchise running back, but he's a good running back. Their defense is atrocious. It's not winning it. They're actually losing games because of their defense. So yeah, they gotta shore up that defense, man. They really have to. They gotta get a good. They gotta get a corner. They gotta get a lot of things. I don't think Jerry Spurd is the answer. They gotta get a lot of things down there in New Orleans. On to the Carolina Panthers. Now I watched every Panthers game of last year. And not only did I watch every Panthers game, but the criticisms of Cam Newton, some fair, some not. And I think a lot of that comes from a lot of people being upset about him celebrating and having fun like Magic Johnson did in his heyday. I mean, he's doing the same smile and he's happy. It's like the greatest show on, Showtime. It's like the Showtime Lakers. When they went 15 and won all those games, went to the Super Bowl, it reminded me of the Showtime Lakers. I don't know why, I just did. But the Panthers, unfair criticism across the board. Cam Newton is a franchise quarterback. He carried an offense to the Super Bowl. He is. They have Greg Olsen, who did something a tight end has ever done, back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons. I think 3 years, obviously. I think 3 years in a row. My bad, with 1,000-yard receiving seasons, which is insane. That's insane. They have the talent there. They need to get rid of Jonathan Stewart. He cannot stay healthy. He is not a number one option. They need to go out and get like a Leonard Fournette or something like that. That offensive line, Mike Rimmers, my God. Wow. That's all I have to say. Wow. Cam's constantly running for his life. They have receiving threats. Ted Ginn is not a bad third guy. Kelvin is a number one guy. I think Kelvin Benjamin can be a number one guy. Devin Funchess is a solid number two. I think he can actually be on the cusp of a number one guy. I don't think he can be that, but I think he can be one of the great number 2 guys in the NFL. The Panthers have a bright future ahead of them. They just have to figure out that offensive line. If they figure the offensive line out, they stay healthy on defense. The quarterbacks at the end of the year, Bradbury and Worley, they figured it out, man. They figured it out. So they're set there. I think they're set at corner. I don't think that's something they have to worry about anymore. All right, on to the NFC West. This team, this division is so out of whack. The Seattle Seahawks did not play. They did not play on the. They were bad on the road. They were 3-4-1 on the road. They were under 500. They're totally different team on the road than they are at home. They have to figure out that offensive line for Russell Wilson. Is Thomas Rawls their franchise guy? I don't think so. Is CJ Prosise their franchise guy? I don't think so. Get him a franchise back. Do they have a number 1 wide receiver on that team? No. Is Jimmy Graham enough? Yes. He can take over a game for you. You don't need a number 1 guy. He is your number 1 receiver, basically, without saying it. Doug Baldwin is your solid, probably one of the best top 3 twos in the NFL. They need a franchise running back. Their defense is fine. They don't need anything. If they lose Earl Thomas, can't replace that. One of the greatest field generals the NFL has ever seen. So that's going to be hard to replace. You just can't replace something like that. So the Seahawks have a bright future. They just need, for one of the reasons they suck on the road is because of the offensive line. They just can't pass protect. And you need a run game. The run game, towards the end of the year, I think it picked up, but they became way more of a pass game. And that's not good when you have a terrible offensive line with all these elite pass rushers. You can't be passing it 50 times a game when you have a trash offensive line. When crap and got people like Gary Gilliam, and it's like, oh God, it's just not right. It's not fair to Russell Wilson. It's not fair to the fans. But they should franchise guy, fix offensive line. Arizona Cardinals. So the Cardinals, they struggled at home and they struggled on the road. Obviously, they went 7-8. I think 7-8-1. Obviously, because it wouldn't make any sense. They would have to go 7-9. Anyway. David Johnson is the franchise future. And I haven't seen... People like, you have to have a franchise quarterback to win games, right? People say that all the time. It's true. But when I was watching David Johnson, I was like, do you, though? Because this man is 1,000 yards receiving, 1,000 yards rushing. Do you really need a franchise quarterback? Because David Johnson was carrying that offense, and he will continue to carry it for years to come. They have good supporting cast around David Johnson with the Larry Fitzgerald, with the Jerron Brown, with the J.J. Nelson. Did I say John Brown or Jerron Brown? I think, obviously, and John Brown. So that defense is stout. They have Chandler Jones. Marcus Golden. I can't remember his first name right now. They have Tyrann Mathieu. They have so many good people. That pass rush is unreal with Chandler Jones and Golden. Like that, Calais Campbell's probably not going to be a Cardinal. They don't need him to be a Cardinal. Because so the Cardinals, what they need is an offensive line check. They need to fix the offensive line. They might have to look at Carson Palmer. Was that a product of the offensive line, or was that Carson Palmer? I don't know. But obviously, I forgot to mention Patrick Peterson also. The LA Rams, one of the worst teams in the NFL. Now the LA Rams have a lot of issues. They had coaching issues. They had cultural issues. They had offensive issues. Their defense is fine, even though their defense could have been even better if they weren't stupid and they were in control and they were actually coached right. If their coach gave any kind of hoot and they just actually disciplined their players, the defense would have been way better than it was. Offensively, it's atrocious. It's crap and disgusting watching that offense. And for people to sit here and blame, is Jared Goff, there's a question mark there, because he had some games where he made throws, I was like, that's a franchise quarterback throw. I can't call him that, though, because I just don't see the talent. Like, how am I supposed to see the talent? That offense made Todd Gurley look like a bust. For God's sakes. To come off the year that Todd had, and then to follow it up with that is disgusting. Not a bust, but not as... We thought he was the next Eric Dickerson. They need to figure out that crapping team. They need a receiver. They need more than one. That's another team that needs more than one receiver. Don't like Kenny Britt. Tavon Austin, he's not a receiver. They drafted a receiver who's 5'8", 5'6", crapping... Yeah, good luck. It's the only... I've only seen a couple players at that height to be able to take over games. His name is Steve Smith. That's probably, at that height, I think Marvin Harrison was what 5'10". So even like if you guys don't know, Steve Smith is 5'8". That's probably the only player at that size that I've seen be able to take over games. Anyway, the point is they need help. They need to crap and go do tryouts, something. 'Cause that offense needs some help, man. The San Francisco 49ers, one of the most dysfunctional organizations. Obviously, the last team, one of the most dysfunctional. The 49ers, one of the most dysfunctional organizations in the NFL. They hired John Lynch, was a good move. I like John Lynch. Kyle Shanahan, is he gonna be a head coach, or is he a great coordinator? We're gonna find out. The 49ers are a mess of a roster. They have Carlos Hyde, who's really fun to watch. When you look at tape, Jeremy Curley shows up a little bit. DeForest Buckner is going to be really good. I like Aaron Lynch. That's about it. They have the kid from LSU. I can't remember his name, the DB. I can't remember his name right now. It's on the tip of my tongue. I just can't. I can't sit here and think about it and do a video at the same time. When people watch a video, they're like, "How come you can't remember?" It's because I'm talking right now. I'm talking. I have to keep the video going. Anyway, 49ers. They're a terrible organization. They fired a great head coach. Could have went down as one of the greatest head coaches in NFL history, especially at building a team. And talk about like projecting your personality on a football team. Jim Harbaugh is exceptional at that. He's the best. He's the best at that. And they have a mess of a roster. They have Kaepernick, who's not going to be there. They need a franchise guy. They just need a makeover of that roster. I think John Lynch is one of the better GMs. I like John Lynch a lot. I think he's a very smart guy, and I think he can build a really good roster. We'll see, though. And that is going to be it, guys. I am Skagster 1083. The AFC, much brighter future than the NFC, I think, at least. And the NFC is a fun conference with a lot of great people like Jordan Howard, Ezekiel Elliott, Julio Jones. So, yeah, they got a lot of fun players, too. Sometimes, I'm telling you, man, I love Jordan Howard too much. Jordan Howard, this is crazy, I'm just joking around, but I'd trade a first-round pick for Jordan Howard. Anyway, that is going to be it, guys. I am Skagster 1083, and I'll see you guys in the next one.